Biblical aura. Two words you thought you would never hear together. But let's be honest, a lot went down in the Bible. There's a lot of people, a lot of things happen, and we got to talk about who's got the most aura and also who's got the worst aura too. So let's get right to it. Before we get too deep, let's define aura. Aura is the presence when you walk into a room. It's your presence, it's your lore, it's what you accomplish. It's a combination of those three things, and you got some aura. That's what you got when it comes to aura. And we're going to be strictly talking about people from the Bible today, nothing outside. And I couldn't include everybody. There's so many people, but I just included the best. I just included the most interesting. So let's get to it. You know what I'm saying? I want to start off sad so we can end happy. I'm going to start off with a tough one. Judas. We're talking about one of Jesus' disciples came in, followed Jesus for all this time, listened to everything he said, and he sold him for 30 pieces of silver. That's not even a good trade, man. Honestly, at the end of the day, that's like a few $1,000s in today's money. You trade a few $1,000s to sacrifice the literal God of our world. That's a horrible trade. And it really just shows he had agreed for money. He was a disciple, so there is that to say. I mean, there's I guess automatic aura just for being a disciple. But he did probably the worst thing anyone ever did in the Bible. He sacrificed Jesus. He ratted his boy out for some money. And I'm going to be honest, we got to go with Judas having that disgraceful aura. As much as I hate to say it, it's just not there. And he did the worst thing probably in the Bible ever. So we're going to put Judas with the disgraceful aura. All right, next we're going to go with Adam. Now, there is something to say about being literally the first man ever. That's an instant aura boost. I can't lie. If you are the first man ever created, your aura has got to be at least decent. You're at least mid to your aura just for that. We don't have, of course we have, Genesis. We have kind of an overview on Adam. We don't really have a deep lore about Adam. So we're mainly just going off the fact that he was the first man ever. He was with the first woman ever. And we'll talk about her aura too. That's going to be very controversial. But for Adam, honestly, just for being the first man ever, that's pretty unbelievable. That is a huge flex. I'm going to put Adam in the overflowing aura for sure. I mean, that's a great accomplishment in itself right there. What y'all know about Elijah? The most underrated prophet ever. I mean, the power he displayed and the amount he's talked about, it's just not equal. This guy, everyone was talking about him, laughing at his God. So he just called fire down from the heaven. He literally just called fire down. What else did he do? He raised a widow's son from the dead. That's unbelievable. That is the first case of bringing the death back to life that we see in the Bible. And this man's send-off was unbelievable. This man went to heaven on a chariot and was never seen again. Like, talk about a walk-off. There's nothing better than that. He didn't die in front of everybody. He exited with grace. I mean, honestly, I really don't see a debate here. I hope nobody debates this just because he's a little bit underrated. Elijah got that untouchable aura. He definitely has that untouchable aura. So we're going to throw him in there right now. All right, next up. And I know y'all are going to complain about this. Y'all are going to argue. Let's talk about Jonah. Jonah does not have high aura. All right. God called him on a mission to Nineveh. Right? He said, you got to go to Nineveh. You got to go save the people there. They've been sinning too much. You have to go there, help them out. He hated these people so much that he wouldn't do it. That's rude. That's disrespectful. Not disrespectful, but you're hateful towards everybody. So that's a minus to the aura. Then he was so disobedient, God had to call in a giant fish to swallow him. Dude, you got swallowed by a fish. Instant aura decline. And then after that, it was like, yeah, it's all good. Like, you learned your lesson. You learned a great lesson. Speak up when you have something to say. Speak up when God tells you something to say, and lead people out of their troubles. But he made you do all that. Why couldn't you just have done it? And you know what? One of the most famous stories in the Bible. I understand. He's a part of it. He still got swallowed by a fish. And I mean, just for all this, I really don't want to hear a case. I don't want to hear a case for Jonah. All respect to him, but he's got slim to none aura. We're going to throw him in slim to none right now. All right, I did throw Nicodemus in here. I threw Nicodemus in here. He's not as major of a character as some people I left out, and I know some people are going to be upset about that. But Nicodemus has to be mentioned. He really does have that believer's aura. He has that aura that, he was in a poor situation and he really stepped up. And I think that, being a Pharisee during that time, and everybody, the cultural pressure of being a Pharisee, the family pressure, and you sneak out at night to meet with Jesus, the guy who is standing up against them and speaking, what they consider heresy. That's ballsy. That's very ballsy. I think that there needs to be recognition for Nicodemus, for his aura. He likely became a believer, stood up for Jesus. This is something that, we really, this is the only Pharisee that did this in the Bible. He's the only one that did this in the Bible. He's not a prophet. Right? He's not untouchable aura, I would say. He's not on Elijah's level by any means. Elijah had insane aura that nobody talks about. But I personally think it's fair to put Nicodemus in the overflowing aura. And I think I'm going to rank him over some people that you guys are not going to like, but he needed to be mentioned right now. So we're going to throw Nicodemus in the overflowing aura. All right. One of my personal favorites, King Solomon. Now, everybody knows about King Solomon. King Solomon, he had the money. He made a great nation. All these beautiful infrastructure. The gold, the mines, everything. The richest man of all time. Some say. At least top 5 richest man of all time. When you switch out the currency, it gets a little complicated. But Solomon, he did have some insane aura. I mean, think about it. First of all, he's in the lineage of Jesus. That's instant aura boost. He had so much wealth, but he also had the wisdom with the wealth. When do you see that? You see, Jesus says it's harder for a rich man to go to heaven than to go through an eye of a camel. Well, Solomon had both. And that's pretty insane that he had the wisdom and the wealth. He's in the lineage of Jesus. David's son, also slight aura boost. I understand, it's in the family. You can't control that. But Solomon, he wrote Proverbs. He did write Proverbs. He wrote Ecclesiastes as well. Two very insightful books, especially Ecclesiastes, really humbles you. So, for those reasons, I don't think it's any debate. You have to put Solomon in the untouchable aura. All right. You guys can't get upset with me. As you can tell, I didn't put all the disciples in here. I only put a couple of them. I had to throw Peter in here. I had to throw Peter in here. Jesus' number one crash out. This guy, he was pretty much the bodyguard for Jesus. He was that guy that would step up and, physically defend him, that's an aura boost. Bro is menacing. Bro's a menace. He's a menace for God. So that's an instant aura boost. Yes, he did deny Jesus. Yes, the rooster did crow 3 times. Yeah, that's a decline. I'm not gonna lie, it is a decline. But walked on water with Jesus. He was the crash out for Jesus. Cut off the soldier's ear that was trying to arrest him. That's pretty crazy. And then to finish his life, they said, "Oh, well, you really believe in Jesus? Go, let's crucify you just like him." He said, "No, I'm not worthy of that. Put me upside down. which is insane to think about. Just for that, that's an aura boost just for that, just to go out like that. It's just like Elijah. The way you go out it's a huge factor of your aura. I really should have mentioned that, should have considered that, but he went out very spectacularly. So we're, hot take, we're going to put Peter in the, I can't put him in the untouchable. Can I put him in the untouchable? We're going to put Peter in the untouchable aura. He was, I know y'all aren't going to like this. There's going to be some favorites here that y'all are not going to agree with, but Peter is going in the untouchable aura for now. All right, y'all. I can't lie. After an instant replay, the refs had to look at that one, sideline review. We're going to throw Peter down to overflowing. There's just too much competition. The competition is insane. Peter, it's nothing against you. You are God's number one crash out. I think we can all agree on that. But we're going to have to take you down to the overflowing aura. Still a very great spot. But there's just too much competition for you. All right, for the number one lady on this tier list, I should say the first lady on this tier list. First lady, not talking about presidents, talking about first lady on this tier list from the Bible, Mary. I mean, who else could it really be? I mean, we will get to one more lady. But Mary, I mean, it's very similar. It's very similar with the case of Adam. They did something so amazing. They're part of something so amazing, but there's not a deep lore. Unfortunately, there's really not a deep lore on Mary. We know that, she was a virgin. We know that she was with Joseph, and she gave birth to Jesus, the literal God, and without any intercourse. That move is filled with aura. But what else though? You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish the action is so great, and she was chosen. I understand that she was the chosen one, but I need more. I wish we had more out of her. So just for that, wonderful, amazing action, amazing task. But we are going to put Mary in the overflowing aura tier, even though she only did one thing that was extremely remarkable to boost her aura. She gave birth to Jesus. And that's insane. That really can't be taken away. So Mary will be going in the overflowing tier. All right. What do you guys want me to say about this? Jesus Christ himself. Bro's got his own tier. Bro has his own tier. He's untouchable. I don't even know where to start. Born of a virgin, the chosen one, fulfilled the prophecies. Jesus of Nazareth came in, walked on water, fed 5,000, raised people from the dead, healed people, forgave their sins, claimed to be God, amazing sermons, then proved he was God, died for us, resurrected, unlimited aura. It's hard to compete. He is God, so of course he has that godlike aura. There's just no way to compete with that. He's got the godlike aura. He has his own tier. Thank you so much to Jesus for everything you did, because you have the top aura. There is no beating you. So Jesus, he's got his own tier for very obvious reasons. Top tier, Jesus Christ. Do you guys want to hear a story that is overflowing with aura, some would say? Let's say you just, grew up with your brothers. You got picked on. They gave you away as a slave. That is demoralizing. You're just hanging out with your brothers one day in the field, and they think it's a funny joke to sell you as a slave. That's insane. Joseph was sold as a slave. Went to Egypt. Pharaoh's just curious about his dreams. He's got all these weird dreams. Joseph's like, oh yeah, by the way, I know how to interpret dreams. Here you go. This is what this means. You'll have 7 good years, 7 bad years in the field. Okay, bet. We're gonna promote you in here now. Okay. He keeps getting promoted. He becomes the second-hand man to Pharaoh in Egypt. pretty much the co-king at that point. So he went from getting picked on as little bro, sold as a slave, and now he's the co-pharaoh of Egypt. And not only that, when he gets to Egypt and he's the co-pharaoh, his brothers are in the famine that he predicted himself. This is insane. They walk in, and then as they walk in, he recognizes them. He recognizes his brothers, and so now they're looking at the little bro they sold as a slave. He's now the co-pharaoh, and then he forgives them. He forgives them. He forgives them and treats them to a wonderful dinner. That's insane. And I really don't think you'll ever hear a story like that again. I don't think that, this is a top 5 story. This is a Old Testament, like this is top 3 Old Testament story right here. Crazy come up story. This is just insane. This is the craziest come up story in the Old Testament. Came up from slavery to being the co-pharaoh of Egypt. We're going to have to put you in untouchable aura. Even though he wasn't necessarily, a prophet, he wasn't necessarily a prophet. Being a prophet does give you instant aura, but for not being a prophet, that's about as good as it gets. So Joseph is headed in the untouchable aura tier. Man, Job had it rough. Well, he didn't. Job was there. Job was doing his thing. He got the big old farm, got all the land. Classic dream. It's just like dream scenario. Yeah, he's got all this beautiful family, beautiful children. And then the devil just comes in. He's like, "Oh, let me take that. Let me take that. Let me take a little bit of everything." It was like a buffet. Like the devil just had a little piece of Job's life everywhere, and Job lost everything. Job was disgusting. Job was on the ground. Job was in wraps. He had skin diseases. Nobody liked him anymore. Family died. Crazy, as bad as it gets. He did trust in God. He was a little critical, but he still had trust. He still talked to God throughout the process. He was talking. And he came back up, and he ended up with double the amount of the wealth. God blessed him with double the wealth as he had before. I get it. It's inspirational. It shows his trust in God. But him specifically, how did that contribute to his aura? Like, let me ask that. I know, so this story was more about God and the devil, and then his trust in God. I get that. But that's all we got. That's really all we got. It's not enough for me. It's not enough to put him in that untouchable with the prophets and some of the greats. It's not enough to even put an overflowing for me. Job got that decent aura. Job does have decent aura. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we'll put Job in decent aura. Job has decent aura. We can say that. Nothing crazy, but we'll throw him in decent. King David. Okay. I don't want to hear, Solomon's daddy, in the lineage of Jesus, killed Goliath with a slingshot. So tell me, he had the aim. All right, he had the aim. He had the lineage. He tweaked. He did have an affair. He did some bad things. Yes. But he did bounce back. He was the king. And also too, David, he did his dance. He was doing the whoop-de-woo, whatever they were doing back then. David's got really insane aura. He's got more aura than his son Solomon, honestly. Like, if you want to compare the two, David's above him in the aura. He started Solomon's greatness. Solomon built on the greatness, and he did a wonderful job. David started the greatness, and it all, he wrote the Psalms too. He wrote most of the Psalms. Psalms are beautiful. The Psalms are so beautiful, just pouring out his heart, pouring out his emotion. He had the physical capabilities. He had that killer instinct. He had the emotional side to him. He had his struggles. He bounced back. And like I said, he had that dance in him. We're going to have to put David in the untouchable. I don't see where else he could go. Of course, he's not even overflow. And this man is untouchable with all the things he did. So David's going in the untouchable tier. Okay, this is a good one. This is a good one right here. Noah. Noah was an old dude. This dude was really old. I think he lived, if I'm not mistaken, I know it was more than 600 years, but this dude was old. This dude he must have been eating good. He must have been, I don't know what he was doing, but he lived a long, long time. He got that call from God. He picked up the phone, talked to him a little bit, had a little back and forth, and realized that in 100 years, was it 100 years? 75, 100 years? Oh no, it was 120 years. 120 years after the call, the flood was going to come. So he heard it, built an ark. He single-handedly built an ark. Who do you know that builds an ark? I didn't even know what an ark was until I read this story. And he built the ark by himself, gathered 2 of every single animal. Do you know how long that takes? He gathered 2 of every single animal, gathered them into the ark, all the big animals too. He put them in the ark. Everyone was making fun of him. Everyone didn't believe that the flood was coming. And he was the only one that was really redeemed from the flood, which is crazy. I mean, that is how much God loves him. If Noah's not redeemed, where are we now? If he is not doing his job, where are we now? I think that you see, it's hard because all these characters are all these people. They're just, most of them are untouchable, overflowing. And I know I'm oversaturating the list. I understand that we have a lot of untouchables. I understand that we have a lot of overflowings, but if we don't have Noah, where are we now? He built an ark single-handedly. I know you couldn't do it. I know I couldn't do it. I'm putting Noah in the untouchables. It's seriously unbelievable what he did. Noah's going straight to the untouchables. You want to talk about a buzzkill? We just talked about the man who saved our bloodline. The only man redeemable by God. Let's talk about the lady that brought sin into the world. Now, y'all are going to call me a sexist. Y'all are going to call me whatever you want to call me. You know what Eve did. The fruit, it couldn't have been that good. It couldn't have been that good to do what she did. It's unbelievable. And, Adam's got great aura. Like, y'all had it going for you in the garden. You're chilling. Everything was good. Everything was perfect. You listened to the snake and you took a bite. And now we all live in sin because of you. So I don't want to hear it. It sucks. There is only two women on this tier list, and you really had to ruin it. You really did have to ruin it. I understand everything happens for a reason. We have the free will, we have the sin now, we have to connect with God, to overcome our sin, and it's our choice of love now because of this. I get it. I understand. But you brought sin into the world, and that's inexcusable. You got to go down there with Judas. Honestly, you have to go down there with Judas. There's really no other place for you. I can't put you in slim to none because you don't even have neutral aura. You are going down there. You and Judas are going to be chilling in the disgraceful aura. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for him. Paul. New Testament Paul. This is insane. The dude who killed Christians to writing a large part of the New Testament, pretty much popularizing the church. This is crazy. He was seeking out the Christians to destroy them, and he turned into the man who contributed the most to the New Testament. That he was in shipwrecks. He escaped jail, so he knows how to escape jail. He escaped jail. He was in jail. He was in the shipwrecks. He survived. He was traveling. People were mocking him, making fun of him. He was standing up for God, standing up for Jesus. This is no debate. I'm sorry, I'm sorry if, I'm putting Paul up there with the prophets, but it's like, dude, what is the New Testament without Paul? What is it? If God did not come on that trail to Paul and say, you got to stop. This is Jesus. I'm the truth. What do we have? We don't have much. This is a pretty much a no-brainer. Paul's going to the untouchable list. All right, Joe. I know y'all been waiting on this one. Moses he's that guy. Moses is that guy. From being born in the basket to leading the Israelites out of slavery through the wilderness, parting the Red Sea, that's tough. Imagine getting chased and you part the sea, everyone makes it through, you close it back on your enemies. That's insane. That's insane aura. That's like plus 1,000 off the bat. Plus 1,000 off the bat easily. He also had the staff. He had the staff. Instant aura boost. I mean, just carrying it around, that's a plus 10 everywhere you go. Also, he was the messenger for God for the 10 plagues, which, it made some effect on Pharaoh's heart. Eventually, it took a long time. Pharaoh was very stubborn, too stubborn for his own good, some say, but it eventually, made an effect on his heart. And then also too, I'm forgetting something. I'm forgetting a lot of things. The 10 Commandments. Come on. Our government system is now built on the 10 Commandments. Our government system is now built on the 10 Commandments. Our moral law is built on the 10 Commandments. So, Pharaoh like I said, it's hard, man. I have all these untouchables. But what are you going to tell me? You can't tell me that Moses is not an untouchable. Also, too, just a dope name. Like, yeah, I mean, come on. That's plus a few points right there with the dope name. Now, some of y'all are going to, say in the comment section, I see you guys typing it right now, but he had a speech impediment. He had a public speaking problem. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because God came in and fixed it. So you can't say anything to that. And he led the Israelites through the wilderness for, 40 years? Yeah. Moses, he's got to be untouchable. We're throwing him in untouchable. I will survive. We're talking about Daniel. You can't kill this man. Oh, my apologies. You hear that in the background? Some car alarms, it's what happens, man. I just moved here a couple months ago, just check out. I didn't do my research on the neighborhood, so it is what it is. We're literally filming in an unfinished basement. But anyways, so what were we talking about? Yes, Daniel. This man is untouchable. And, many men wish death upon Daniel. Yeah, you can't kill him. They tried to throw him in the fire. The angels came. You try to throw him in the lion's den. Angels came again. This man is, they say, I got angels all around me. He really does. He actually does have angels all around him 24/7. Also extremely intelligent. This guy could interpret dreams. What else did he do that was extremely intelligent? He interpreted dreams. Oh, yeah, he predicted Alexander the Great's conquest. I mean, that's freaking unbelievable. And then also, too, he had some foresights about end times. And, keep in mind, we're talking about Old Testament here. Usually we talk about this stuff in Revelations. Usually we talk about this stuff in the New Testament. Now, this man was ahead of his time. You can't kill Daniel. He's not untouchable, though. He's not untouchable. And I hate to say it. I hate to say it because Daniel is up there. Underrated, too. The book of Daniel, extremely underrated. But he's not untouchable. But Daniel is the top of overflowing. I will admit he is, one of the top contenders of overflowing. So Daniel's going the overflowing tier. Last but not least, he himself who claims he was the most loved disciple of Jesus, John the Apostle. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. When you're talking about disciples, this is probably the guy a lot of people think of first. I mean, this guy was an artist. He was very artistic. Wrote beautifully. He wrote beautifully, and he did beat Peter in the race to the tomb. Flexed on him about that. Then he also flexed saying that he was Jesus' most loved apostle. And not only that, he got banished, right? He got banished after the Romans weren't really down with Jesus and the church spreading, so they killed everybody. But John was spared, actually. He was the only one spared, but he got banished. And when he got banished, he wrote the book of Revelations. And that book is insane. That book it'll freak you out for sure. But it also helps you realize a lot of things and prepare for what could be to come. So, John is, man, also too, he is a disciple. We talked about this. Disciples have aura, not prophet aura, of course, but disciples have crazy aura. He wrote the scripture, wrote a gospel. He was fast. He had that physical ability too. Him and Peter had physical abilities. We don't know about the other ones, but he had physical abilities. Was he flexing? Yeah, he was flexing out here. John definitely was flexing out here. So we're gonna put him in we can't put him in untouchable. He's not Moses level. He's not Elijah level though. I mean, you could make the argument because he was around Jesus, he could be on that level. That's not what I would make. I'm saying John the Apostle, he wrote Revelations as well. Pretty insane. He's definitely a top contender on overflowing. So we're going to throw him there. That's a good spot for him right there. And that's what I got. Y'all got to let me know if I messed up. I know this is going to be controversial. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I'm probably going to look at this next week and look at this and saying, like, what was I thinking? I should have prayed more on that one. But I don't know. I really think this is pretty solid. Couple controversial takes in here, but I think this is a pretty solid list right here. Whatever, I'm going to be making these biblical tier lists. Right now I just started with the biblical figures, with the people from the Bible. I'm thinking about doing stories, something along those lines. So y'all got to comment, let me know, subscribe, what I should do. I want to hear you guys out, so just let me know what you guys think. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next tier list.